Welcome back to the Management Diary. Tonight I'm taking you all the way to China. You guys, if you've had some places called Shanghai, then this is where we are going to talk about that country. And I'm hosting a CSC scholar. He is a multiple award winning scholar. And by that I mean he was awarded a master's and now a PhD scholarship. He's from Bangladesh. He's an engineer and he's going to tell us more about his work and his background. His name is Gazi Farhan Ishraque Toki. But for the sake of this conversation, we'll call him Toki. And I promised you guys, this is the Management Diary where we get to have serious conversations about your career, lifestyle, research, and scholarships. So stay along and we are going to give you all the information you need about the CSC scholarship. Toki, how are you?
I'm fine, bro. What's over you?
All is good. You know, I enjoy meeting scholars from different parts of the world so that I can get to ask them random questions when I start the podcast. So your random question is this: what is one unique name that you or word that you've learned in China that fascinates you? You like it?
One word.
Mhm.
There are many words I learned little bit Chinese. So, like 我喜欢, like I like. I thought 我喜欢 Zhongguo, like I like China.
Mhm. Washihuan
That means
Zhangguo.
Zhongguo.
Mhm. So guys, I'm almost going for a certificate in basic Chinese. Washihuan Changus. So this
Yeah, so
conversation
maybe I have
is about the CSC scholarship. What is CSC, by the way?
China CSC. If you want to know, CSC is China Scholarship Council. And if I say briefly, like it is provided by the Education Ministry of China.
Mhm.
So maybe it started around 1995, 1996. And this kind of, as I also heard or read about it, like this scholarship not only provide a scholar from outside of China, it also provide a scholarship the uh, inside ones, like also Chinese scholar. They can, for their purpose, they can go abroad through this kind of scholarship.
So international students can go to China to study, and then Chinese students can also get out of China to a different
Yeah,
country
yeah,
to study on
yeah, yeah,
CSC.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Through this
what
scholarship, they
what in
can
your
go.
background motivated you to go to China? When did you realize you want to go to China, and how did it play?
That means I have to go back. Like my bachelor was in my country, Bangladesh,
Mhm.
and my bachelor was in textile engineering. And maybe you are acknowledged already for textile uh, export. My country is the second largest
Mhm.
after China. So we and for as China is the biggest or the superior one, after my graduation in 2019, I got an opportunity through a Chinese industry that is located in my country, like LDC Group. The owner is from mainland China, and I joined that industry, and they gave me opportunity that is very rare. I want to mention they gave me opportunity to go China in 2019 before COVID, before the starting of COVID. I went to China in 2019 October 6th. I still can remember that day. And then they gave me opportunity to train some Bangladeshi guy to learn the technology, which is the latest one using by Chinese textile industries, because we are the head to head, neck to neck business competitor. So that's why, and then I had opportunity to stay 1 year, and still I can remember those days. During COVID time, I was in China
Mhm.
to do the job to learn in China.
That is
So
2018.
yeah, 2019 and 2020, I was there. And after 2020 September, end of September, I returned to my country. So then I realized, and also the working environment, because I already a engineer by textile background, and I have little experience about almost 1 year at that time. So at that similar period, due to COVID, there are lots of anxiety, all over the world, there are lots of anxiety. So I wanted to pursue higher study from earlier days during my bachelor. At that time, I also learned German language as well, because for textile, Germany is the topmost at that time for textile background study. So then when I got into China for my job, then I realized, why not China? Because I already used to this kind of environment. Although I had language barrier, still I don't understand the language maybe properly, but I can communicate little bit. Then I also saw few of my seniors from my own campus. I want to mention my campus name. I graduated from an institute named National Institute of Textile Engineering and Research, called NITER, which is the affiliated institute of Bangladesh for textile engineering. So my campus seniors already got this CSC scholarship. So that time I got recognized about such kind of, so I can also pursue this thing. Then I contacted with one of my senior. He is currently doing PhD in USA. So I asked him, brother, how can I get into it, or how can I apply? That is the journey. I told a long story, but that is the journey, how it started. Then he guided me through another senior. He is also doing PhD right now. So thus I got into the scenario of CSC scholarship.
All right, sounds like an interesting way.
Yeah.
And people who listen to my podcast, our podcast, they sometimes don't know where to find these opportunities, because I understand you might have had this contact with your senior who might have
Yeah.
guided you. So if I'm listening to this podcast and this is the first time I'm getting to this conversation, I would like to apply to this scholarship once I listen to this conversation and I know what is in and how I can make my application. So how can I find this? Allow me to interrupt this conversation and bring something to your attention. Since we launched this podcast a few months ago, we've had over 50,000 people watching our episodes, which we are very thankful for, and over 12,000 hours. However, we are currently trying to build our audience so that we can get the leverage to invite more guests to our podcast and we can continue bringing more insights. As you can see in one of these sites, and I bet that's here, at least 80.7% of the people watching our podcasts are not subscribers to this channel. And what we are currently focusing on is building our audience. So I'm requesting that if you may like to support us, if you like what we are sharing, you support our channel by clicking that subscribe button so that we can grow. Our promise is to continue bringing you strong guests with more insights so that we can bring these conversations where you are.
At first, there are 2-3 ways. Like, even I know in some countries, ministry, like in your own country, maybe also have in your education ministry, you can search, because the CSC scholarship is 3 type. I want to mention there are 3 type of CSC scholarship. It's like CSC scholarship type A, type B, type C. Type A, you can apply from your own country through the ministry of your own country. You have to apply in your own ministry. You can select the university. You have to submit all the documents. Maybe we'll mention later, and then they will justify whether you are qualified for the application or not. And I didn't apply through this process. I applied through the, which is maybe I think more easier one, like type B. The facility is same. All the facility, scholarship, funding, blah blah, all kind of facilities for type A and type B. B is the process you have to apply. You have to search at first. Maybe you want to apply for Fudan University. That is very good. even you want to go for Xinhua, maybe Peking. So you have to go to their system at portal. For maybe there is some system for every university, international students scholarship. There you must find a scholarship that is named CSC Scholarship. And then like you have to go for what is the requirement they mention. Maybe if you want to apply for Bachelor, so you have to search whether they are giving a Bachelor scholarship for CSC or not, because all university don't provide every like Bachelor, Masters, PhD. Maybe not simultaneously, they are not providing three scholarship for three category like Bachelor, Masters, or PhD. So you have to check, maybe they are providing Masters scholarship for CSC. So you have to choose. At first, I think they should choose the university, because in this process they can apply by themselves like the other countries.
Yeah, we will come to the university selection shortly. But
Okay.
then, how do you know that you are qualified? Because it looks like, okay, for all the three, I may be interested in this funding, right? But I don't know if I'm a qualified candidate or not. So what do they look at? What, in your understanding? I know it might have been quite some time since you made your application, but then what were the expectations for you to be deemed an ideal candidate?
Like if I want to mention the qualification, like you have to be like good grades, like other countries, like they have some the scale of for bachelors. Like you want to apply for masters, you have bachelor degree. So in the scale of 4, the most country provide CGPA in the scale of 4. So at least you should have more than 3.5. I would recommend, because
So
if
that's
you are
second class upper division.
yeah.
Mhm.
In my country, we say above 3, it is first class. But nowadays, there is no first class, second class, most of the countries, but some country maybe have. So at least you should have more than 3.5, at least 70 to 80% marks in your courses. So then it is good for you. At least you are ahead, like other guide. So to be qualified. And more than that, if you have like some extracurricular activities, like maybe you are participating in some social work that is worldwide recognized, so that may be helpful for this.
Are there expectations on the language and age of the applicant?
Like for masters it is 35 the age, or PhD it is 40. And language, or everyone can it is mostly in English, so there is no language barrier like you have to study in Chinese. No, there is no such kind of thing. But maybe for bachelor, I want to mention one more thing. If you are applying for bachelor, there is some requirement. You have to study in maybe bachelor, or you have to pass HSK 4, 5 for the degree. Maybe you are studying bachelor in English, but that particular university or some university have the requirement that you have to pass HSK 4, 5, which is the language course or language uh, level you have to pass. That is for Chinese language to get your degree.
And where do you get to this language test? And before you answer that question, so if I'm from a French-speaking country, do I need to provide any proof of English, or how do we go about it? Did you provide any proof of English during your application?
Yeah. Obviously, if you have like IELTS, it is far better. You are much more qualified for the scholarship or get into the scenario, because it will add much more beneficiary for during the application when they will select. And if you have also have competency in Chinese language, maybe you are applying for masters, maybe you are applying in English language study, but you have already get into HSK 4-5 in your own country, that would help to get into scenario for a scholarship. I heard, or as I know, many country already have established some language center for Chinese. Even in my country, I heard there are 2-3 centers. They are particularly helping students. Also, this to learn this language. Not only this institute, also there are some other guys. They are also helping to learn Chinese. After learning, there are some system to get apply for HSK exams. Then you have to sit for the exam similar like IELTS or TOEFL or similar. So then you have to sit. Then you have to get the qualification of HSK 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then
So,
maybe
if I'm going to get
you
this
can.
clearly, as a master's applicant, you don't necessarily, the only thing you'll need is to prove that you can speak, read, write in English.
Yeah, yeah. You
And the
can,
same goes to a
at,
PhD applicant.
then at least you have to give a medium of instruction. That is the certificate called. Like that your study, if you are applying for masters, for your bachelor study, you have to give a certificate or proof that is called medium of instruction. That would be provided by your bachelor institution for master's degree applicant. And if you are applying for PhD, then you have to provide your master degree certificate, medium of instruction that is studied in English. That is the proof. That is initial requirement. And before more than that, if you have IELTS, then that is clear. You don't need to provide this.
We'll take you a step ahead, right?
Yeah. Obviously, for applicants, it would take
Now,
more ahead.
when we were just having a conversation before the podcast, you mentioned to me that you did master's by research.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a master's by research, in other countries we have taught masters or masters by coursework and by research, and those two are going to have two different requirements. Now, the next subsection, I would like us to discuss about how you went ahead making an application to the university. Then after that, now we will get to start about the application or the scholarship. I don't know which comes first. Is it the scholarship or the university?
At first, you have to select the university. I want to mention the process like this. You have to first select the, because you for CSC scholarship, I want to mention for type B, you can apply only one university all over the China. So you have to select the university first. For my time, before 2022, there were three chances. Like you can choose three university. Now they reduced the chance. You can apply only one university. So you have to select university first. Then there are some other criteria we will mention. And one more thing I want to mention, because you already said my study is, I mentioned, taught by research, but there are some coursework as well. I have to go for like maybe 35 credits almost. Most coursework is about 3 or 4 credits. So I have to almost complete 35 credits for the master degree.
Could you please take me through the master's application process, like in the simplest possible way?
Okay. Like first you have to select the university. Then I think when you are already planning that you should go for master or PhD, so then at least you should have a CV, academic CV, I want to mention. And then maybe you have a research plan or research intended research plan that you want to do this kind of research, and a study plan that is similar things, or maybe different at turn. So then you can choose professors because you already have a research plan. You have some particular intention. I want to focus into this area. I already studied into it. Like me, I studied in textile. I want to go for it. Maybe. So then you can select professors for particular university. Like I want to mention my university because that is the best, maybe one of the best in textile, Donghua University. So if from my country or other country who want to study in textile, maybe they can go for material. the similar kind of thing, textile materials. So they can choose Donghua University. Then they should already have CV or their bachelor's or master's grade and transcript. Then they can choose professor. They have to go to the university portal. There are some portal in particular each college or each department, each faculty, they can choose their teachers, intended supervisors. They can then mail them like other countries. I want to like this. I want to go for this kind of area. You are also working like this, blah blah. If because why I'm mentioning this, for a scholarship, every university you have a particular fixed thing, that is acceptance letter. It is a letter that is issued by your intended supervisor. He will mention, or he would mention, I know this guy, or he contacted with me, he will study under me or under my supervision during this period. If he get this CSC scholarship or other scholarship, he would mention. So because this is one of the most important criteria while you are applying, so you have to choose your university, then you have to get this acceptance letter, then you have to at the same time go for other documents, like you already have maybe CV, academic CV, your grades from your bachelor or masters, transcripts. And I want to mention, for China, for CSC scholarship, you need to have police clearance. Like you are not uh, have any claim against you for any kind of crime. That is provided by every country. You have to maybe search your own country and have to get a certificate. That is no criminal offense against you. And this is also one more thing. And then like if you have some publications already, maybe you are going for PhD, so you may be already engaged in some research, because for my masters I already engaged at that time in research, so I also added that. And we already mentioned about the medium of instruction or IELTS, and you must have the passport as well. So this kind of things, and as I mentioned, the acceptance letter, that is one of the most important things. So this is the documents they need, and then the application process would start, I think.
There's something I'm curious about. You left undergrad in 2019 and you went
Yeah,
ahead to work for some time.
yeah, yeah,
So you had one advantage, that you had experience.
yeah, yeah.
If I'm a fresh graduate, what could I do? Does it mean that I'll have to wait and get some experience, or I can proceed to make an application?
For this CSC scholarship, you don't need, I think. I also guided few guys or few of my friends, so they don't need. But if you have that advantage, like me, and that you already joined in some company, already have work experience, that would, because there are some portion or things you can include, like other certificates. As I mentioned, if you have other qualification, maybe you have some research background, you have joined some social activity, you have some work experience, that would add more value into your application process, because they would select after judging your whole scenario, your whole application process documents, not only in one criteria, your results or something like this, not only.
Now, that sounds to be very clear. And I think somebody who's sitting on the other side of the screen is listening well, and they're getting these points right. And honestly, you've broken it down very clearly. Now, I don't know. When did you then start making an application for funding? Now that you've
I
just
was
made an
told.
application for your masters,
Yeah.
did you wait for an offer, or at what point then did you start making an application for your funding?
Okay, you don't need other kind of application process I want to mention. Like if you are applying for CSC, you are already applying for funding. Like it is provided by, as I already mentioned, the Ministry of education. So it will provide funding. I want to mention the funding, like it would provide you the dormitory facility. If you want to stay in the dormitory, every student would get that facility. Whether it doesn't matter, you are applying for university A, B, C, doesn't matter. And then you would get for master's scholarship around 3000 RMB. I think it is more than enough to uh, stay in China. For PhD, you will also get opportunity to stay in the dorm without any cost. And I want to mention rather why no cost, and you will get 3500 RMB. And the dormitory facility is free for you because the ministry is providing money on behalf of you. That is, except 3000 or 3500. For master's student, the CSC authority is providing 700 RMB to the university authority for each student who are already got the scholarship. Or for master PhD students, they are providing 1000 RMB. And I want to mention, if you don't want to stay in the dormitory, maybe you want to stay alone outside. So then you would get this money from the university. For master's student, you will get 700 RMB extra, more than 3000. That means you will get 3700 if you are not allowing yourself to stay in the dormitory. For PhD student, you will get 4500 RMB because you will get 1000 more. So you don't have to apply for others funding. So when you are applying for CSC, you are already included into it.
That sounds interesting. Can I tell you why?
Yes,
If
you can
if
tell me.
if I'm given this money, is it enough to finance my stay outside the university?
Yeah,
And
yeah, more than enough.
as you're answering that question, there's also another question that might make me think carefully about along those lines. How long do I stay at the university before I'm told it's time for me to be out? Like,
Like maybe like I want to mention, like my master's was 3 years, although it is lengthy. So you can stay 3 years because it is your original study period. And more than that, if maybe in some case, because we are the COVID sufferer, so there are some students who joined earlier or who joined with me. They come later because maybe my study started in 2021. I went to China in 2022. So maybe some guy dropped 1 year. So you can stay 1 more year additionally. Like your study period is 3 years, you can stay for master student 1 more additional year. And some university provide master's 2 years degree. So then they can stay maybe for 3 years, 1 year additional with 2 years study. And for PhD, it varies. Most university provide 4 years degree. You will stay 4 years in the dormitory, and maybe 2 years or 1 year additional. Then you will stay without any cost in the dormitory.
so, there's one small bit that just skipped our mind. There is this 1000 or the 700 that I'm being given if I choose to stay out. Is it going to be enough?
Um, if you are sharing a room, I think it is enough. And because I stayed in Shanghai, I can mention most, but the person or the I know few guys or still they are there at the Shanghai, and they're staying with their family. So if you are carrying your family, maybe then you need much more money. Like maybe then you have to add 400 or 500 more. Other than that, I think it is enough.
So I think that can help somebody make a decision, because sometimes somebody could be like, should I stay in the university or should I stay out? Now that this money is enough for both cases, I may come and be like, let me stay in the university. I like stressing a lot about accommodation because it is an important part of your studies. And if you get to live in a wrong place, you'll hate your studies like crazy. I know that aspect. So if somebody chooses, I want to stay in the university, and somewhere midway, they feel like it's not for them. They feel like they want to stay out. Are they going to be given that support? Or once you get you have signed a 3-year contract?
Like maybe after 1 year staying in the dormitory, you wants to left the dorm that you don't want to stay, and then the university would provide the money they would supposed to get, so they would provide. It's okay. Even after staying few months, if he again wants to back into dormitory, then they would allow him to stay in the dormitory if he or she don't have any such offense into the university or some other issues, disciplinary issues. Then it's okay to stay. I think they are flexible.
Now, in the recruitment process, there's something that I'm interested in. It's called an interview. Did you attend an interview for your master's application?
Because I applied to university, not only my graduation university. So I faced few interviews.
Tell me more about these interviews and what did you do in the interviews? Did you have to go to China? I mean, what did they ask you?
Like they ask similar, very simple question. Like, it's very common in every university. Why China? Why you why you want to pursue the course in this particular university? Maybe do you have any knowledge about Chinese environment or something like this? If you know Chinese environment, how you get into it? Like for me, I already know Chinese environment. They asked me how I get into it. Then I explained. Then and initially they was like some job applications. They ask introduce yourself, so it's very easy. And for PhD, it's different. For PhD, maybe they ask about your research, like your previous background of research and the intended one for PhD. So this kind of question they may ask.
There's something I submit every other time I make an application.
What?
Some people enjoy writing that thing. Some people don't enjoy writing that thing. I don't know if you can guess, but let me call it an SOP. Personal statement, statement of purpose, whatever name.
Yeah.
You submitted one.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you went ahead writing an SOP. Okay, let's reframe it this way.
Okay.
They probably gave you prompts that you needed to answer. Can you remember some of these prompts and how you went ahead answering them?
Okay, I want to mention that there are no such form for CSC applications, but in China, it doesn't matter where you apply. Maybe you're going for Peking, Tsinghua, Fudan, or other university. They would mention this SOP as like a study plan. As I mentioned, they would mention it like a study plan. Then you have to mention you have to write by yourself, like the story, how you want to build it. Yeah, everyone have their own study or own story background, so they will write by themselves. Most university I encountered, they don't have such format, like UK or other country. They don't have such format.
So, if I was to put my prompts into ChatGPT and tell it to write for me, do you think it's a good idea?
No, I don't think.
Why?
Because maybe ChatGPT will write it a better manner. But I think like maybe I had gone through some struggles, something like this. I have to mention like how I get into scenario of this kind of study, why I want to pursue the further study. I think you can write by yourself, and then you can polish in using some other AI or like you are already written it, then you can polish through. At first, you can have a draft. Then I think for it's my own purpose. Like I made a maybe draft, then I checked, or I checked through other guys or some other software maybe I use. So I think at first he should write by his way. Maybe there are some errors, grammatical mistakes, or some acknowledged guy. Maybe like you have already get into scenario. He can ask you that whether it is okay or not, the format of writing is okay or not. Then if he need additionally something, then he can use. It's my own thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, so you think ChatGPT is good for formatting, but not for writing the story?
Yeah, I think he can write his story by his own way.
I won't disagree with you on that one.
Okay.
The main reason being, I have hosted like 32 scholars before,
Yeah.
and I always ask them this specific question, and your answers are all the same.
Okay.
If you ask me on your podcast, I would still say the same thing. Like, write your
Okay.
story, then let it polish it. Because
Yeah.
there's no way it will know about you.
Yeah, yeah. I want to mention that part because maybe you have some emotion when you are writing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can add that
Mm-hmm.
when you are writing. Maybe you can add it like a story.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can polish it through whatever you want. So that's
Absolutely.
my own thing.
Now, when we say scholarships, there's a very important aspect of scholarships. It's called money.
Yes.
And when it comes to money, I really like us to have a more candid and more detailed discussion so that we know
Okay.
what is on offer and what is not on offer. People don't come underprepared, right?
Yeah.
Let's begin with the basics. You said this is a fully funded scholarship. So
Yes.
it offers you accommodation and
Yes.
3,000 or 3,500 for a master's and a PhD, unless you choose to stay outside the university, right?
Yeah.
Now, there are other things, there are other expenses that you may need to incur. You may need to travel to China. You may need a visa, a passport, anything.
Yes.
What other expenses does this scholarship meet? Who is going to pay for your medical insurance?
Like I want to mention the medical insurance after entering into China, the university or your scholarship would provide.
Mm-hmm.
It is also included into your scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
The medical insurance while you are staying in China, they would provide this insurance, medical insurance. And for visa, you have to pay, and the amount is very less. I want to mention if you are applying for 3 years visa in Shanghai or other cities, you have to pay 5 to 800 RMB for 3 years.
5 to 800 RMB.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
as I remember. And in your own country, while you're applying for a visa initially after getting the scholarship, that is also very less because you are applying for just through your scholarship. In my country, for our own currency, it was around 2,600 BDT, Bangladeshi Taka.
So that is, I just checked, it's 110 USD for 800 yuan,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Renminbi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So guys, you guys go there and do that calculation, or you can just go online and check. I mean, like if you are watching this on YouTube, because I think you have data, so just go online and check. But it is called the currency in China is called renminbi.
Yeah, RMB or yuan.
So it's RMB or yuan, and you are going to pay 500 or 800. So you can convert that to your local currency and see how it goes. So you are telling me something.
Like for my country, and when initially you are applying for visa, then that is around 2,600 BDT, Bangladeshi Taka, and that would be around 150 or 60 RMB. That is around 150 to 60 RMB. That's it. Other than that, you have to pay your own flight cost. And for type A scholar, I want to mention, I mentioned three types. Type A scholar get this travel cost, like the if they are already got a scholarship of type A, then they can get the travel cost through the scholarship. And for type B, they have to pay by themselves.
I'm waiting for type C.
Type C, you don't have any stipend. Like you wouldn't get that 3,000 or 3,500. Other than that, the study cost, stay in the dormitory, insurance cost, they would provide.
All right. I think it is up to the applicant. So you
Yeah,
guys who are listening to this to decide which suits you well. And
yeah,
I strongly recommend the opinions that we give here are based on our guest's experience. His name is Toki, and I will leave his contacts later. But you just keep listening. We will tell you how you can get to him when that time comes. But then you are going to choose the funding that suits your circumstances. So there is A, B, and C. So check it out. And then whatever suits you is what you're going to apply to. So Toki is a type B scholar, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
type B.
proud his masters. Now, you've just mentioned to me that I'm going to pay for my visa at the embassy if I'm a type B for this case. How was your visa application process like?
Uh, After getting your scholarship, they would provide two documents that they will send through email at first. Then they would ask to give your country address, your home country, your home address. They will send it by DHL or something like the FedEx or something they have in your own country. They will send it through this, and then after receiving it, they will send two documents. One is their visa, like X1. The document name is X1 visa document, or X2 sometimes, because it may vary to province, or some if you get some other scholarships, the provincial government scholarship, and the admission letter. With that, you have to go to embassy website in your own country, Chinese embassy website. You have to apply the through the website, and maybe after that you have to send them these documents that you got into scholarship, and they provided you the X1 visa document, your admission letter. Maybe you have to add your medical. I want to mention, during your apply process or visa process, you would have to do the medical. There is a particular document for CSC. This is 2-page document. You have to go to doctor. They would test X-ray, and then your chest, blood, all the things like your height, your blood, your eye contact, everything. Even if you have some other disease or not, like AIDS, syphilis, gonorrhea, you have to test this, and you have to add this document during your application into CSC. And after get the scholarship, while you are applying for the visa, you have to get this document. And they have mentioned one more thing. You have to get this medical or police clearance. It wouldn't be done more than 6 years, like 6 months. Like you are applying for your scholarship today, you have to get the police clearance not more than 6 months before. Same goes for the medical as well. You have to do it not more than 6 months before. It similarly apply for the visa process as well, not more than 6 months.
If I'm to ask, who pays for your medical tests?
And when you have to pay by yourself.
Okay.
You have to pay by yourself. And I want to mention when you entered into China, they would do another medical test, and that is free. That is free. So then you don't have to pay. But in your own country, when you are applying for scholarship and get the visa initially from the country, so then you have to pay.
So tell me more about this visa. Now you've went through all this process.
Yeah.
You've gotten all these visa documents, right?
Yes.
You've submitted, and now they gave you feedback that your visa has been granted or has been accepted.
Okay. Yeah.
So then I'm going to ask two questions. The first thing is, how long does this visa last?
It is very less time. I want to mention within 7 days you would get confirmation. Maybe they would call you, or maybe they would ask for interview sometimes, because we applied for during COVID time. During COVID, there is no face-to-face conversation into the embassy. That time they called me like, "Are you Toki? You applied for visa," something like this. Have you ever gone into China before? Because as I mentioned, I already went China in 2019. So if there is face-to-face conversation, they would ask you to come. Then they would ask similar question: Have you applied for this, or have you ever traveled China or not? And I want to mention, if you wouldn't get any scholarship, like funding a scholarship like CSC, then you may have to provide the bank solvency from your parents. If you are self-funded students in China, so you have to provide bank solvency of your parents.
So does this bank
During
solvency,
applying the visa.
which is a bank statement, state how much money
Yeah, yeah,
you earn, the minimum
yeah,
amount of money?
minimum, it varies from province to province. Like maybe you are studying in Beijing or Shanghai. Maybe in that university cost is much higher, because these cities are very popular, very reputed. Maybe that time exactly maybe 5-6 lakhs in my own country currency. I'm saying it
Oh,
may be vary.
5-6 lakhs.
Yeah.
So that is so in yuan, how much is that?
In yuan, it is around, in some university maybe they also mention you have to show bank solvency around 20,000 RMB. Maybe I am not sure, because I never applied for self-funded, so that I don't need that. Yeah.
So you're saying it is the Bangladeshi taka.
Yeah, Bangladeshi taka.
So that is gonna be like $5,000. Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense. So guys, it's five. Okay, I don't want to give a round figure because these exchange rates usually vary with time. So these guys may want to go check. I'm sure this information is available online,
Yeah, obviously.
so they can go check. Now, the second question regarding your visa is so this visa covers during the period of your studies, right?
Yeah.
Does it allow you to work as you study?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mention, if you're going for study through CSC or other scholarship in mainland China, you wouldn't allow to work. And if you want to work, then you have to get permission from your university, your supervisors, and mostly they wouldn't provide. So you are not allowed, and it's illegal in China. I want to mention it's illegal.
So it's illegal to work. If you try working, you can find yourself in the earliest flight back home.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. Now we've been talking, and we have actually not mentioned anything about dates. Dates in terms of timelines. At what
For apply?
when did you start making your application? So I want you to
Okay.
because you've already taken me through the application process in details. So I'd really fancy if you be like, I applied in this month. This is what I did in this month.
Okay. I want to mention, most university application period starts early November or end of November every year, and it would finish within early of March.
Mhm.
and some university may provide late March or early April,
Mhm.
not more than this. So you have to. I suggest to apply early December or uh, early January, because there is some criteria. If you apply early, and then there are some stages of evolution. If you apply lately, maybe you have to. They would send these documents in the some phase. Like if you apply early, then your chance of getting scholarship would be much higher, I think.
That makes
So
sense.
yeah,
That makes sense. Now, Toki.
because I want to mention that
Uh-huh.
every university have certain range. Like maybe this year they would get CSC scholarship for masters
Mhm.
20.
Mhm.
If you are applying early May,
Mhm.
early April, sorry, then your chance of getting a scholarship is late,
Mhm.
because already maybe some other guys from other country, they are applying in early December, early January. They have only 20 slot to be you. They have a particular slot,
Mhm.
as I heard. So you should apply early.
That makes sense. The earlier, the better. So
Yeah.
people need to try and do good planning in advance.
Yes. Yes.
Now, when you received this offer, I know
Okay.
sometimes it can be really good news. Maybe you're just walking down the street and then you see. Where were you,
Yeah,
by the way?
I was that time I was in my office.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing a job in my own country,
Mm-hmm.
and I just came back from my office and I opened my email and I just saw that I am selected for this scholarship.
So tell me,
I,
what
and
was the
I'm
first
over
thing
the
you
moon.
did?
I am over the moon, and then I called my mom
Oh.
that finally, because I am very close to my mom, so I called my mom that I got finally the scholarship. That's it. And I am over the moon because I am searching this opportunity from 1 year, more than 1 year, to get into this scenario. So, and in COVID, there are lots of scenario, even I lost close ones during COVID. So that is the time particularly I get into the happier scenario to recover from the bad scenario.
So the special person who was the first to know this was your mom.
Yeah, yeah, obviously my mom.
Awesome. I mean, like it is always a proud moment. And sometimes I
Yeah,
usually feel like you could just be there with those people who care and the people who have seen you
yeah,
struggle to get that opportunity so
yeah.
that they can see and celebrate with you. It is usually fun. Now, you traveled to China.
Yes,
I presume that was you were alone,
yes,
but you had already gone to China, so that was not going to be
yes,
too difficult. And then you
yes,
did your masters for 3 good years.
yes.
How was your master's experience generally?
Um, I want to mention that was one of the peak points of my study period,
Mhm.
because I want to pursue PhD as well, as I currently doing. So the Ch- CSC scholarship in Donghua University in Shanghai gave me the platform where I am today, because I have learned lots of facility, lots of research technique. I met lots of guy to, or even my supervisor, master supervisor. So because the technique, I uh, my research was based on battery, the lithium ion battery, and that was very uh, trending technique or trending research from last. Even in this scenario, scene already Nobel Prize also got some guy maybe 10-15 years ago. So it is very trending technique or trending research. So and in my country I didn't did this kind of technique or this kind of research. So it was for me it was an overwhelming situation to learn, to grow, evolve in these 3 years that I got through CSC Scholarship in Donghua University.
So you graduated in what month was this?
2024, June.
I mean, oh yeah, you graduated in June 2024, and
Yes.
the next thing you were thinking about was a PhD, and it looks like you had already actually made up your mind you are going directly to a PhD.
Yes, yes.
How was that transition, and what steps did you take during your masters to get a fully funded PhD also in China, and who is also eligible to apply for a similar PhD?
For PhD, you have to get some good research background. I want to mention for masters, maybe you don't have that much research background. It doesn't matter in which area. Maybe you are from business background, but you should have some research background. So for PhD, you should consider at least some research background, whether you are studying in your own country or in China. So you should have some research, good research work. And I also, for PhD, at least you should have uh, IELTS as well. And maybe we didn't mention about this thing. And just now I remember, you should have some good LOR, letter of recommendation, at least 2 for the CSC scholarship. You need 2. I didn't mention earlier page. So you should have 2 letter of recommendation from associate professors at least, not a lecturer. They wouldn't allow lecturers recommendation.
So they
for
only
CSC
need
scholarship.
either an associate or a professor.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be better. Sometimes maybe they consider assistant professor, but not lecturer or senior lecturer. They wouldn't consider.
You know, your story is very interesting because I'm looking at you. You went there for work, you came back to study for a master's, funded, fully funded, by the way.
Yeah, fully funded.
And then you came now for a PhD, also fully funded by how do I mention that name? ANSO.
Not ANSO. I got ANSO. I also got CSC in my PhD in same university, Donghua University in Shanghai. Currently, I am doing PhD at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. It is in Hong Kong, the nearby to China.
Now, I've listened to you. You know. There's one funny bit about scholarships in China. I don't want to say Asia, but it is also a thing I've realized about scholarships in Asia. There are a lot of scholarships down there.
Yes.
But
yes.
But very few people know these scholarships.
Yes.
So which other scholarships besides CSC do we know in Asia? Very briefly. So that somebody who has listened to this, maybe maybe CSC is gone, but at least if you know if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can just mention them so that somebody can also go check them out.
Okay, they can go for ANSO. It is also in China, and for ANSO, the PhD scholarship is much higher. The scholarship amount, it is 7,000 RMB, twice than CSC scholarship. But the competition is much higher. You should be much qualified, because as I had some good research work during my masters, additional to my bachelor works as well. So I got that ANSO as well. So you should have, for ANSO, they only give 300 or 350 people from all over the world. Only 300 or 350. Even they also give master's scholarship. So it's very competitive. ANSO is also very competitive. Even some other scholarship like provincial scholarship. Every province in China, they also providing similar fund like CSC, the same amount. Like maybe if I mention Shanghai government scholarship. Maybe in Shandong province, it is another province, Shandong provincial scholarship. There are some other province like uh, Zhejiang. There are some Zhejiang provincial scholarships. So every province they have their own government and they have some own scholarships. So every university, while you are considering, not only you would qualify for CSC, you can also apply for this scholarship as well. Because CSC you can apply only one, so you can choose other university at the same time to get into scenario of a scholarship.
I know one thing that can scare people to come to China. It's because there's a problem misconception that it's only Chinese that people speak there. Like you can only speak Chinese as a language. And that is also going to have an impact on somebody's mental health. Especially, you're going to a new country, you are an adult, there's no other language you know except maybe 1, 2, 3 languages. And then you get there, nobody speaks the language you do. So there's nobody to talk to. How do you guys deal with mental health?
Um, Basically, most of the university have lots of international students, not only from my own country, like Asian country, African country, European country. So the background, mental health issue, if I consider even the professors, like if I consider my master supervisor, he is very proficient in English because he studied outside, like he was also in Australia. And so most also I heard from other guys, they even in their groups, because lots everyone knows English. Maybe they are talking them with themselves in Chinese or Mandarin. So when you are introducing yourself or get into scenario of research, laboratory or study, so then even the teachers, while they are teaching in the course for the course, they are talking with you in English. So I didn't find any hard stuff. And for me, I want to mention, I studied 1 year in online. At that time, the teachers also gave their lesson in English. So I didn't feel any hassle to get into the scenario of the study.
Fair enough. And I hope now that you've mentioned there are a lot of international students there, then I hope it won't be as difficult. Because
Yes,
if there are
every
other people there,
university
you
have.
can always.
Every university have in, because I while I joined your podcast, as I mentioned earlier, maybe most people don't know about the China, and every university have at least some international student. They have already, so you wouldn't feel hard to survive there when you will go for bachelor, master, or PhD, and that you have the other facilities, so you wouldn't feel hard time there.
That is fair enough. And thank you for the information. It has been a very resourceful session. Now, somebody has listened to you for almost a whole hour, 60 minutes.
Yes.
Somebody who has gotten to this point of the conversation has listened to this conversation that far, and they would like to hear something from you. They would like to get a message, a parting shot.
Yes.
What would that be?
Like I want to mention, even because I maybe it is hard to for some guys when I pursue my masters in China. I heard one sentence, why China? But uh, because everyone wants to go for USA, Canada, or even in Asia, there are some country like Malaysia, India, or Australia, some on going for New Zealand or other countries for some other scholarship, like they are going for Germany. Why China? So even they criticized me at times. They maybe you have good profile, why you wouldn't choose for other country? So I thought that time that I have that opportunity because to learn, grow, and emphasize your career. I think you have enough resource to, even most people don't know about these things because many people think that there are some barriers into China. so they wouldn't encourage other guys. But whoever went into the scenario of China, I think they would give a good message, as I also do, that you should check it and you can pursue if you get opportunity to study in China, because it is good, and I think it was good, would be good for everyone as well, not only me as I studied,
Yeah.
but it would be good for everyone as well.
I love to connect with you. I love to get in touch with you. I love to know how you are faring as you are continuing your PhD. And somebody also is going to listen to this conversation in the year 2028, 2029, 2030. They want to know how things went down. How can I connect with you? What platforms can I use?
You can connect with me in LinkedIn. You can search my name, Gazi Farhan Ishraque Toki. Although my name is quite big, you can search my name. You can help them to add my name of LinkedIn resource. So because we are already added, and he or she can search me in email or Facebook as well.
So, as usual, we usually leave the links to the profiles of our guests in the description of each video. So, guys, if you've listened to this conversation and you would like to get in touch with Toki, just to know what he does during and after his PhD, please check the description of this video. You're going to find a link to his profile. So you'll also find a link to his Facebook, and that may also be helpful. And I hope you're free to get in touch with them. So
Okay.
that was Gazi Farhan Ishraque Toki, and this is
Yes.
the Management Diary. I'm your host, Omae Joseph, and until we meet again in the next episode, bye bye.